ever in a dark place and thought you weren't good enough at some point, or because you were different, people would shy away from you? Ellen DeGeneres tells her story of when she came out as being known as a lesbian, and the difficulties and struggles she endured through this time. Even more, she tells her story in front of a crowd full of strangers, even college graduates. Throughout her speech, she focuses on being true to herself, and she also tries to persuade the audience to do so also in their near future. A little background information about Ellen DeGeneres. As most of you know, she is a talk show for stand-up comedy known as The Ellen DeGeneres Show. However, before that, in 1997, in her first show, she revealed her homosexuality on air, and her show was immediately canceled. For over 6 years, nobody wanted to talk to her or even touch her or wanted to show who she truly is because they didn't know anything about it and they didn't think that who she was okay. However, although she's a stand-up comedian, she loves to create humor and laughter in situations to her audience. Since this occasion happened, she has been a strong advocate for the LGBTQ rights group. And also, as most of you know, Finding Dory and Finding Nemo are two of the main movies she has starred in as being the voice of Dory. She said this speech in 2009 at Tulane University's college graduate ceremony, as I said again, in front of strangers and families, and it took a lot of guts to do this because this wasn't totally normal when she did this. This also took place in New Orleans, Louisiana, coincidentally where she grew up.
It was successful and it was great, but it was hard because I was trying to please everybody, and I had this secret that I was keeping, that I was gay, and I thought if people found out, they wouldn't like me, they wouldn't laugh at me. Then my career turned into, I got my own sitcom, and that was very successful, another level of success, and I thought, what if they find out I'm gay, then they'll never watch, and this was a long time ago. This was when we just had white presidents. But anyway, this was back many years ago. And I finally decided that I was living with so much shame and so much fear that I just couldn't live that way anymore, and I decided to come out and make it creative, and my character would come out at the same time, and it wasn't to make a political statement, it wasn't to do anything other than to free myself up from this heaviness that I was carrying around, and I just wanted to be honest. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I can lose my career. I did. I lost my career. I got, the show was canceled after 6 years without even telling me. I read it in the paper. The phone didn't ring for 3 years. I had no offers, nobody wanted to touch me at all. And yet I was getting letters from kids that almost committed suicide but didn't because of what I did. And I realized that I had a purpose, and it wasn't just about me, and it wasn't about celebrity, but I felt like I was being punished, and it was a bad time. I was angry, I was sad, and then I was offered a talk show. And the people that offered me the talk show tried to sell it, and most stations didn't want to pick it up. Most people didn't want to buy it because they thought nobody would watch me. And really, when I look back on it, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, it was so important for me to lose everything because I found out what the most important thing is to be true to yourself.
Okay, so since this happened, more and more people will want to be strong like her, and usually as little kids, or even just adults, everyone wants to follow a celebrity because they're popular, and if they can do it, why can't they? She started to become a role model for everybody in her surroundings. As you heard in her speech, kids resisted suicide because of what she did. They won't be scared anymore for being different, and they won't listen to the judgment or hate that they get towards themselves. She preaches to stay true to yourself and to not let anything belittle you, no matter who you are, and to always be true as your individual and to remain to that. Also, as you know, she's a stand-up comedian. She tries to incorporate humor, as she said something about the white presidents, so she tries to use humor to lighten the mood, even though she knew she was in a very dark place. In 1997, when she came out as being a lesbian, this was not common at all during this time period. People were judged and hated for it and shunned. However, in 2020, it is starting to become a normalcy part of our environment. It is normal for people to be part of the LGBTQ group, and it is not weird. This shows how strong-willed she is as she came out in 1997, because it took a lot of courage for her to do so. After her speech, everybody applauded and booed her. Also, she knew she never had a plan after her future, after high school, and knowing that she's a celebrity, it is okay to not have a plan and not know where you're going to end up. Anadiplosis is the term used when you constantly repeat a word. And I had no ambition. I didn't know what I want to do. I did everything from I shoved oysters, I was a hostess, I was a bartender, I was a waitress, I painted houses, I sold vacuum cleaners. Distinctio. This is a term in when they try to explain their sentence by using something else. In this way, she uses humor. And I thought, what if they find out I'm gay? Then they'll never watch. And this was a long time ago, back when we only had white presidents. Polysyndeton. This is a term used when it is a repetitive conjunction word. And I started this path of stand-up, and it was successful, and it was great. But it was hard because I was trying to convince everybody, and I had this secret that I was keeping, that I was gay. Ellen uses pathos when she enhances the feelings of the audience, when she said that she had no idea where she was going to end up, and she tells a story of how she was at rock bottom and in poverty and could barely even pay her rent. She also uses ethos when she, in the beginning of her speech, she talks about how most of the college students would be hungover or they haven't eaten since Fat Tuesday. This shows that Ellen has lots of knowledge and logic about college students and some of the stereotypes that what happens during college. She also uses logos when she says that she never went to college, and she's a celebrity, and she still found her pathway and became a very successful person. This shows that you don't always have to follow the stereotype of going to college or a 4-year degree, and there's many ways to be successful. In conclusion, Ellen emphasizes about being true to yourself and be proud of who you are. Sometimes going through the hardships and struggles can teach you many life lessons, and even more, make you a better person in the end.